So welcome to the Learn.UQ Basics workshop. So in this session, we're going to cover an overview of the welcome page, the ultra-based navigation. And we're going to create and edit course content. We're going to look at how to create project groups and how to enter marks in Grade Centre. So just a bit basic overview. What I'd like everyone, so what is Learn.UQ? Basically, it's a learning management system, and course coordinators can use it to upload resources, create activity or link to activities, and link to different tools. And this is where the assessment, the students submit their assessment and where they can view their results. So I'm going to get everyone to open up Learn.UQ, our Blackboard course. And the address, and I'll just put this in chat, is learn.uq.edu. .au. So I'll put that in chat, and if everyone can open that up. And you'll see, if you haven't already, that there's been an update to our welcome page. We've now moved to the new ultra-based navigation. So I'll quickly give you a quick tour of that to make you familiar with some of the features. Again, this is hands-on. Suggest you get in here and do this with me. So let's get started. So current courses, it'll show all your courses. Current courses actually means all the courses you've ever taught in at UQ, because we don't close them. But you can click up here and choose just to view semester 1 courses. And you can go back to current courses to see them all. So just maybe to have a little play, you can look at courses in list view or in list view or in grid view. Some other little tips that you can do is you can search for your course by name. And you can favorite courses so they always stay at the top. Whoops. And I don't know what I did there. And now it's being slow. But anyway, got another view here. I can favorite a course, so I can search for ALSA and I can find it and I can favorite that course. If you've got a big list of courses, by the way, you can actually hide them from yourself. You can choose hide course. And if you want to see it again, you can go hidden from me and find them. The other thing you can do that's really useful is I can make a course private, i.e. make it unavailable to students, which we don't want to do at this point in time. And I can make a course open. And you can see if a course is closed to students because it'll have this little private icon. And this one shows that and if it disappears, it's open to students. So I'll give you all a quick minute to have a little play. I suggest you favorite some of the courses you're teaching in, maybe hide some of the older ones to get them out of the way. And I'll give you a minute to do that, and then we'll go through the rest of the menu. Okay, so let's move on. So some things to note is the institution page, the organisation page here. So this courses page has the post and undergrad courses. The organisation page has the non-course Blackboard sites, i.e. there may be, say, for example, the pharmacy has a clinical hub Blackboard site. This one's a Blackboard site for the Academic Integrity Office, etc. So it's for non-teaching courses. The next one up is institution. So if you all click on the institution, this is hiding a lot of information that used to be on the old welcome page. So at the top, if there's a current outage, you'll have information at the top. You'll have Spotlight with messages for staff and students. You may need to scroll. You'll have some useful links. So my UQ, my SciNet, and also for students, Blackboard training. You'll have this. Now, students won't see this, but this is how the link to the form for requesting a Blackboard site for staff. If there's been any current outages that have been resolved, it'll be down here. And why do we show resolved outages? You may have a student say, I couldn't submit because there was an outage. You can come here and verify that. So that's our institution page. Let's move along to the next page, which is the profile page. So you can change your picture if you wish. That picture will show through all your Blackboard sites. You can also click on the notifications. This is probably really important, so I'll give you a minute to do this. Think about what emails you want to get from Blackboard. Originally, when we put this out, a lot of people said they were getting too many emails. So you probably don't want to be emailed straight away. And what do you actually want emails about? And so you can set that there. And by the way, whoops, I'll just close that. Oh, let's cancel. So that can be found in, you can set edit the stream, the email notifications, and the push. It does sometimes take a little bit of time to open. Just be patient. So I'll give you a little quick minute to do that. And we'll keep going. All right, the next one down is the activity stream, and this gives you a collation of information about all the things that are happening in the courses you're teaching. Mine's pretty empty, so I've got a screenshot to show you what it would look like sort of in the middle of the semester. So, you know, you'll have like today and anything that's happened today and a list of different things. So, you know, workshops, announcements, assessments that's due. This view is for staff and students. You see slightly different things, but there's the activity stream. So it collects your activity from all your courses. And if we go back, the next one along is calendar. So let's go into the calendar. You can use view the calendar in month view or day view, and you can view just a schedule. And it's pulling information from all your courses you're teaching into. So due dates for different assessment, and you can also see the due dates. If you click on due dates, sometimes it takes a minute to come up. The other thing you can do is add your own personal events to the calendar. So I'll get everyone to do this with me. If you click on that link, whoops, at the top here, little cross, let's add an event. So you can add it to your personal calendar. I'm going to say my birthday, whoops. Make sure you're putting your personal calendar and not a course. And I can have a start date. So I'll put in my birthday. Whoops. And I can put times and dates or make it an all-day event. You can also put a description. So that's possible as well. And that will go into your activity stream as well. You put those in. There we go. The next one along is messages, not used much at UQ. The next one along is marks. The students can see their own results from their different courses here, and you can see your marking. So you can see for this course that there's a quiz that's self-marking, 2 have been submitted and marked. There's another quiz, 2 students out of 2 haven't actually submitted. And no one submitted for this assignment. If students had submitted, you can click on the link and go straight to your marking. So, and the next one along is tools, which we don't have much in, and you can also sign out. So that's a quick overview of our new welcome page. What we're going to do now is go back to courses, and we're going to go into a course. So what I'll get you to put in courses is put in, so I've set you all up a training course. If you put in tutors, training, and you'll see you'll only have one, I can see all of them, a tutors training course of your own. And I'm going to favorite that so I don't lose it. And I'm then going to click on that course to open it. So just a note to opening courses, it sort of does a slider over the top, and I can close that and open it again. So that you just close it using a little plus at the top. And there we go. So let's quickly, and we're going to sort of work our way through the menu and do some different activities and give you a bit of an overview. So let's start with the first one. So this is tips for staff. You can see it's hidden because it's got that little icon with the square through it. And that just gives some information to staff about setting up their course. The next one down is Course Insights, which is our learning analytics tool. This one's a training course, so it's linked to a sample. You might really find it useful to have a look. What's probably really useful at this point in time is you can get some demographic information about the courses you're teaching into. So that's something you can do. The next one is down is announcements. So we're going to get you to all make an announcement with me. So announcements is normally the opening page. It also could be learning pathway, but it's normally announcements. The template for the sites has a sample announcement, but staff usually write their own. But let's make an announcement. So the announcements go to all students. So maybe it's only the course coordinator doing this, but I'll show you how to do it anyway. So let's everyone do this with me. Click on create announcement. And I'm just going to do one about tutorials. And, you know, i.e. tutorials start next week. Looking forward to meeting you. View the details on your tutor in course start. Now just note with its little edit box, you may not see everything I'm seeing. There's 3 little dots here, the more button, and you can click on that to get more tools or less tools. The other thing that's quite useful so that's probably the most useful thing. You can date restrict it, most people don't. Depending on how the students' notifications are set up, they may have it set not to get the messages. You can override that, which we recommend. So they get an email to all their messages. And you can do a course link. So if I click on browse, I can link to somewhere else in the course. So I mentioned course staff, so I'm going to link to course staff. And this course link is really useful to direct students to somewhere else in the course. I'm going to click on submit. Give you all a minute to do that. And there's your announcement. By the way, you can move it up and down. Most people, it goes to the top. Most people basically don't delete any of their announcements. They leave it as a record of the communications with students. I often get asked, well, how can we be sure that students actually read them? So part of hopefully your course coordinator will have a communications policy for your course. It will still clearly state expectations around communications for students, i.e. they're expected to either check the announcements regularly or check their email for the announcements. The other thing you can do, which is hiding because of this little box here, is I can click and drag it to move it, and I can move it up the top to pin it. But the thing that you might find useful is there's little arrows, I don't know why they're so hard to see over here, and you can actually use that to move the announcements around as well. But I'll leave that one at the top. So there are announcements. If you've got any questions, stick them in the chat, and I'm sure that Hong will be able to answer. So we've done announcements. Let's go down. The next thing is the course profile. Now, as this is a training course, we don't have a real link, but we have a screenshot. And basically, it's automatically put in. There's a link to the course profile. And the course profile has information about the course and the assessment, etc., and the students, and you can all access it from there. The next one down is course staff. And this is basically where the course staff should put a little bit about themselves and how to contact them, how the students can contact you, and why, who they should contact for what. So, you know, the course coordinators may have put theirs in and you're going to put yours in. So let's practice doing that one together. So if everyone can click on create content, and I'm going to put in a title. And I'll put in my first name and my last name and my email address. I don't want them to have my phone number. If I have an office location, I could put it in here. Office hours, so if you run sort of ad hoc tutorial sessions or office hours and the tutors do that, you can put that in there. I recommend you fill in the notes and tell the students a little bit about yourself or your research area. It's always good for students to sort of know what your day job is, not just teaching them. So, you know, my research area is, and a bit about yourself or any other notes you want. Make the profile available is the next thing to do. And you can add an image. So I'm just going to put a random stock image in. The image needs to be square. Otherwise it goes skewy. Preferably 150 pixels by 150 pixels, but basically it needs not to be like a rectangle. Personal links, if you've got a research profile, we recommend you paste that in there. I've just picked someone's randomly. And you can paste that in. So basically, put your name, your details, etc. Put a little message and press submit. So I'll give everyone a minute to do that. Again, like most things in Blackboard, you can click and drag it up if you want, or move it, or you can use little arrows here. So I'll give everyone a minute to have a little play with that profile. And that's something I recommend everyone does in the courses they're teaching is put a profile in. All right, I might move on. So the next thing down is learning resources. So this is where all the content of the course will be. At the top, again, you may have this sort of icon. It's hidden from students. It's to help staff set up this area. So for them tips and tricks. What I'm going to do is put it at the bottom, out of the way. So I'm going to come up here to this little icon here. And I'm going to choose, I'm just going to move it right to the bottom. Whoops. So I'll click on support and I'll move it to the bottom out of the way and submit. Now, these links here are all the lecture link, and these two links are by default, and this one's been added by the course coordinator normally. Because it's a training course, I'll just sort of demo what will be here. So lecture recordings in a face-to-face lecture, lecture theatre. The lectures are recorded in our lecture recording system called Echo 360. It's all automated, and the lectures will automatically show here. They take a while to process, so they don't show immediately after the lecture. It depends on the load, usually about 4 hours afterwards. I'll just show you what that looks like. Now, this is a test one, so it's a bit messy. But basically, if the students come here and you go in the real course, you'll see all the dates of your lecture because it's been pulled from the timetable system. And as the lectures are recorded and processed, they'll be added here for the students to add. The staff can also add like a new class or a new recording and upload their own recording if they want as well as the automated recordings. So that's the lecture recordings. This one here is a Zoom link. So thing to note with the Zoom link when it's put in like this is only the person who set it up, the course coordinator, and the tutors will be able to access the Zoom links from there. If you'll need to get the Zoom links from the course coordinator. It's a bit of a quirk with the system. So if you go in there and don't see anything, don't worry, the students will have access to their Zoom links through there. Course reading list is put in automatically. Again, this is a training course, so it won't go anywhere, but I'll just show you. So basically the course reading list, it'll go to the course reading list, and this is all automated, and this one's set up by the library. So you can see that. So I've chosen one that doesn't have much in the course reading list, but usually you'll have a fair list here. And the subject guide, that's also automatically linked to, and this is sort of an example, of a subject guide. So sort of resources for that topic area. Let's have a quick look at a folder. So if I go into week 1, so if everyone clicks on week 1, and basically you normally have an introduction at the top and some different resources. We strongly recommend staff give a description of what the students should be doing with each resource. So as you can see, you can put in text, links to files, images. You can put links to, put in YouTube videos. You can upload your own videos to our Kaltura video server. You can put in course links to other places in the course. There's little breadcrumbs at the top, so you can go to learning resources back there, or you can click back here to get back. So what we're going to do quickly is set up a little folder and put some resources in, so you've got an idea of how to do that. So if you do that with me, if everyone clicks on build content, and we're going to go build content and content folder. And let's do week 3, Saturn. Always recommend a bit of context for the students. So this week we will be studying so this is setting up a folder. You can allow students to use, you can make it so it's unavailable if you're sort of setting it up and you're not ready to release it. You can track views. You can do date restrictions. Maybe people just have it open or not open. So they just have it closed while they're working on it. So I'm going to click on submit. So there's my Saturn folder. It'll go to the bottom of the page. Again, you can drag that up. You might like to drag it right to the top while you're working on it, and then drag it back down when you finish. And again, you can always use these little arrows here to move things around. You're going to put something in that folder, so you'll need to click on that folder link to go into the folder. So let's all do that. And let's put in some basic content. So maybe we want to add some lecture slides so the students can download them and maybe annotate them or add their notes in during the session, during the lecture. So I'm going to click on build content. Now there's 2 choices, items and files. We all strongly recommend you only use items and not the file option. The reason for this is the items allow you to give instructions to the students about what they should be doing with the resource, and the file doesn't. So I'm going to choose item. I'm just going to call it week 3 lecture slides in the text. Explain what to do with the resource. So it is recommended you download these slides to add notes / annotations. Lecture. So we can attach them. Now with the invite, you were sent a resource folder, so you can use the resources in that folder or just randomly any sort of PowerPoint you've got. So I'm going to click on browse files. Often, and this is quite a good use, is to give the resources in a couple of formats. So the PowerPoint format and maybe as a PDF. I've seen lots of staff give they give the PowerPoint, they give the PDF as 1 slide per page, 3 slides per page, or 6 slides per page. Why give the actual PowerPoint presentation? A lot of students actually like to go into the PowerPoint in the notes section and put their notes in that part. So they find that quite useful. So you can add more than one file. As you can see, they're added. You can unattach them if you need to. And once you've done that, you press submit. And there you go. I'll give everyone a minute to do that, and then we'll look at the other resources. Just note in that build content, we won't go through everything, but just note you can add an image, you can add a web link, you can add a link to a course link to somewhere else in the course. So what a lot of staff will do is, because if the students should be working on an assessment item in week 3, they'll do a course link to that assessment item to remind them that they should be working on it or completing part of it. That's always good. You can add in YouTube videos, and Kaltura Media is like a video server. So you can upload, if you've got your own personal videos, you can upload those. Make sure you think about copyright when you're uploading videos. Okay. The other thing you might like to do is embed a resource. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to go build content item. I'm going to embed a Padlet, but most sort of online resources can be embedded in Blackboard. So I'm going to put an add, and I'm just going to put in, so introduce yourself. So I've got a Padlet here. So any sort of online resource, if you embed it in Blackboard, and Padlet's just an example, but what you're really looking for in the tool is some sort of share option. So I found the share option, and we're looking for the embed option in share. And there's the embed code. I can just press copy. I'm going to put that in the chat so you can all do this as well. Or maybe you have your own favourite tool you like to have a play with embedding. So I'm just putting that one in. And if I go back, so you copy the embed code. It does look a bit frightening, but just, ignore it really. Just press copy. And if I go to the content, and make sure you've clicked your 3 more buttons so you can see this. There's an embed icon. So if I always find it, I look for the little person, and it's to the left, and it's the source code button. So if I click on source code, I can paste it in. I'm going to actually sort of not do that because I forgot a step. I always recommend the first thing you do is actually you put a link in. So the students have an option of just going to the resource directly. So I might just put this in, intro, link, so link, introduction, Padlet, and I'll put this link in the chat as well. And my tip is, for links, you need to type the text and then highlight the text, and then click on the little link button, paste in the URL. I always make it come up in a new window, so it's in a new tab, and save. That puts a link in, and now I'm going to just put my cursor further down the page, and I'm going to put the embed code in as well. So I'm just going to click on there, just go down the page a bit, And I'll go back and I'll copy that embed code, which I put in the chat for you. Just paste the embed code in. And what it will do is it will put in the Padlet. By the way, you can't play with it here because you haven't, it's just in edit mode. You can add files, etc. And then click on submit. And there you go. So the students can use the Padlet directly in Blackboard. And also if they've got any problems using it, the embedded version, they can also click on the link, which will open it in a new tab as well. If you're not familiar with, I'll get you all to add your, just have a quick play. So I can click on the pencil. You know, hello.
Lisa, sorry, quick question.
Yes.
I was a couple of minutes late. To do the exercise that you're talking, and for us to do that, for me to do that, like, where do I go into my file?
I'll have to keep going, but Hong will answer that in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So you should have a course to play in. Hong will give you directions in the chat for you. So hello. So hello from our side. You know, welcome to the course. And people use Padlet for lots of sort of active learning activities. Everyone can sort of post their answers to it. You can use it live. You can embed it in Blackboard. Staff do lots of things with it. I can search for an image, maybe a gift. Welcome. You know, put a gift in. Publish. This is just an example of embedding a resource in Blackboard, but it's a common one. So I'll give everyone a minute to do that. So this Padlet isn't the free version, it's a UQ version. So you don't have any limitations on the number of Padlets you can make, etc. We'll send a link to the guide on this after the session. It's a great tool. We also have a session that covers this as well in Ready to Tutor Week. It's a great tool. All right, let's keep going. So we've covered learning resources. Let's click on assessment. The next one down. So just looking at assessment, this is a basic setup of the assessment area. This is a screenshot of the summary, the assessment summary from the course profile. So most people will put that at the top of the page, and then they'll have a folder per assessment item. I'm going to click on the second assessment item, Planet Research Assignment. And as you can see, you have a Turnitin link. You have links to any resources the students need. This is the submission link. The students have requested this goes at the top so they can easily find it. So we put it at the top. And look, any other resources you need should be in here for the assessment. We're going to just do a quick exercise of how you add the instructions in. I know they're already here, but we're going to delete them and I'll show you how to put them in. It's always useful to put instructions for students. Also, make sure they know how to contact us. You don't have to answer students' technical questions and problems about Learn.UQ and other e-learning tools. Ask Us is there to help them. So I'm just going to click here and choose Edit. And I'll just delete that. And I'll show you how to put it back in. So with assessment, these are sort of common instructions. I'll put them in chat. So basically, oops, I normally remove the formatting. So you have a message, click on the link to submit your assignment. Just make sure it's obvious. And tell them what to do if there's a technical issue. There is UQ guides for students on the eLearning tools on the library website. So I'm just going to get those guides to add them in. I normally just type in UQ library because I don't know where they are actually on the site. UQ library, turn it in. Oops. So that's UQ library, turn it in. I'll just paste that into the chat. There we go. I usually just grab those two links so you can copy them. And I just paste them in there. And they also do a link to the Ask Us Help. And again, if I Google that, I just put UQ library, Ask Us as one word. And that's their contact page. So students can contact them with lots of different options, and they're really good. They can answer all their technical questions, so you don't have to, basically. And I'm just going to make that a link. And again, I always recommend with links, you choose to open them in a new window. So there we go. So that's a big tip of things for assignments and submit. The other thing to think about with assignments, especially turn it in, is giving students using the student preview tool to show them how to sort of submit things. But I'll show you that tool in a minute. But that's always useful. And we also have a session, I think tomorrow, which I'm running on turn it in as well for tutors. Okay, so that's assessment. Let's keep going. The discussion board doesn't tend, this is, that's just because it's been copied. Doesn't tend to be used that much anymore at UQ. There is another discussion board. So this one here is the one that's built into Blackboard. There's another discussion board you may find your course coordinators using called Ed Discussion Board that has a lot more features. We'll keep going. My grades. This is just a training course. This is what the students will see basically. They'll see this is where they can go to access their marks once you've marked their assessment. And that's sort of a screenshot of what they will see. Library links, again, it's a screenshot because it's a training course, but the students get basic links to library resources there. So this is the end of the course menu section. And the course menu is what the students can see, both you and the students can see. The next thing we're going to look at is the control panel, and that's only available to staff, and it's for doing admin tasks. So let's go down to course management, control panel. We'll have a quick look. A few things you can see are files. So you can find the files you've uploaded. This is where they're stored at the back of the course. Course tools shows you all the tools that you can use in the course. And this is sort of their admin pages for staff to use and set things up. We'll come back to Grade Centre, but what we're going to go into is users and groups. So first thing is users gives you a list of all the users in the course. So that can be helpful, including staff. It'll show their roles. So course coordinators are normally instructors, and tutors are normally put in as teaching assistants. The students are automatically enrolled, so when they enroll in SIGNET, that information automatically flows through. The course coordinator will be added when the course is set up, and then they add in any extra staff. So that's how that sort of works. I'm going to click on groups. Now, something you probably need to be aware of is the allocate groups, like the tutorial groups will come through to groups either this week or beginning of next week. They flow through and they automatically update. So they'll be available in groups. And you can see all of them here. So they're the groups. So if everyone clicks on groups, some things to note about groups is you can click on all users. This is really quite useful because this is a quick way to go and see who hasn't signed up to tutorial group, because I'll have a blank. So that's quite useful. So all users. The other thing you can do is set up a sign-up sheet for a group project. So we'll do that together. So I'll get everyone to do this with me. I'm going to click on create. Now there's some different ways to set up group projects. You can get the students to self-enroll in a group, which is the most common. You can set it up so it randomly will put students in groups. And you can also do a manual enrolment where you put the students in groups. But we're going to do a self-enroll. So if everyone clicks on create, group set, self-enroll. And I'm just going to put in here what type of, like, the groups will all have the same title. So I'm going to put in project. If everyone puts in project or group assignment or whatever it is. Instructions. Make sure you have very clear instructions. There is a bit of the main issue with group sign-ups is once the students sign up, they can't change. So if they need to change, they'll have to contact the teaching staff to move them. So it's really important they get it right the first time. I actually recommend if you've got first years, you get them to do it in tutorial. So you can make sure they're doing it right. So just give them in some instructions. We'll just have groups. They can have Blackboard tools if they want. Most people don't use them. This is the name for this sign-up sheet. So it's usually in like project group sign-up sheet. So it sort of gives instructions. You don't really need instructions there. And so you can choose the maximum number of students per group. So you only allow them no more than 5 students to sign up for each group. Show group members. This means they can make sure they're choosing the group that has their friends in it, who've decided to work with or who they've decided to work with. And then the number of groups. We recommend you put more groups than you think you'll need, just it makes it easier. You can always go delete them later. So I'll put in 10 groups, for example. I might put in 15 groups. And we're going to create a smart view. So if everyone clicks on create smart view. And I'll show you what that is in a minute. Actually, I don't want that many groups. I'm only going to have 4. All right. And I'm going to press submit. And it sets up our groups. There's a little tip with this. You basically, if you've got more than 9 groups, I'd edit the group names so they come up in order, because otherwise it'll do project 1, project 10. So to do that, I'm going to go to group sets here. This shows all the groups. This is a group set. If I go to group sets, it shows the project group. And if I edit, not the properties, but the membership, I can come in and change the names. And that's so when the students sign up, they all come up in order. So you can just do that and press submit. All right, so how are students going to access it? We're going to put a link on the menu. So if everyone follows me and puts a link on the menu, it's a bit hard to see, but on the course menu, there's a little plus symbol at the top. So if I click on the little plus symbol at the top and choose tool link, and the type of link we want is a link to the say, you know, instructions, i.e. sign up. So I'll call it, you know, project group sign up. Make sure it's available to the users and submit. So it'll come down the bottom. We probably recommend leaving it there, or maybe move it under assessment. Once the students are all signed up, you also probably want to remove that link as well. So let's sign up. We're going to use the student preview tool so you can see what this looks like as a student and sign up. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go back to we're going to go in as a student. So if everyone follows me, there's a little symbol up here, student preview, which allows you to enter your course and look at it from a student point of view. So I'm going to click on that little tool. See how it says it's student preview mode. So this is what the course looks like to the students, so they don't see the control panel. I'm going to click on project group as a student, and this is what it looks like to the students. They sign up here. And basically then they choose the group they're going to sign up to. Once they've signed up, they can't move groups themselves. So it's important that they and their group members, it's best if they do it at the same time. They choose their project group number and they all sign in and get into the right group at the right time. So I might want to be in group 4 with that's what the group we were all going to go into. And there I am. So that's me being using the student preview tool. Just before I exit, I'm just going to click on the settings button here because I want to keep this data. So just make sure it's signed on, keep preview user and all the data, which it is. It's grayed out, so it's done. That's fine. And I'm going to exit the preview. And then make sure you choose keep preview user and all data. So you keep your little preview user and click on continue. All right, so that's groups. Just a little hint for groups. If I go to the group set, if you're doing manual enroll, and also sometimes if the students don't manage to get themselves into a group, you can always come here to group set and the groups and choose edit group set membership. And I can actually use this to put students in a group. So I like that. And quite often what course coordinators will do is say you've got to a certain date to organise your own groups. And after that date, I'll put you in a group myself. And submit. All right, let's go down next to the grade centre and choose full grade centre. So grade centre, basically every time your course coordinator sets up a link for an assignment for the student to submit, that it will automatically create a column in grade centre. So i.e. your turn-in assignments will automatically create a column in grade centre. The Blackboard assignment tool, the quiz, Blackboard test tool, grade scope, etc. They're all automatically create. When you set up the submission link for the assignment, it automatically creates a column in grade centre. And when you mark the assignment, the marks automatically transfer to grade centre. The staff also have got some options. They can put in total columns and they can put in a column to calculate automatically the final grade, which they may have pre-set up at the beginning of the semester. So that could all be in there. Sometimes you'll need to enter marks manually. So maybe you have an in-class quiz or something where you need to manually enter marks. So let's look at how you create a column to manually enter marks. Something that's been marked on paper, for example. So if everyone does this with me, so I'm in grade centre, full grade centre. I'm going to click on create column. give it a name. So this is quiz 2. The name should be the same as in the ECP. Your course coordinator may already have done this. If the name is long, they may give it a shorter name that only shows in Grade Centre and not to students. Normally you have a primary score and you put what it's out of 10. Secondary display you can show as something else. Quite often is quite useful to show the percentage, because if you show the percentage, it's a quick way to check you haven't really stuffed the marking up. If you've got anything over 100%, you know really quickly there's something gone wrong. So that's a good way for checking, but you don't have to have that on. But I'm going to have that on. I might make it out of 7 because that makes the percentage more useful. Can add rubrics, etc. But we're just going to leave all that. This one says show column to students, so I'm going to say no. And I'm going to click on submit. Now, there's some things you can do to make the mark entry easier. And if you've got a couple of hundred students, that can be really useful. So I'll just show you that before we enter the marks. So can you see how it's got this little black circle with the red line through it? That shows that the students can't see the results. And if I click here and choose hide from student on off, they can see the results. So it's really important while you're marking to make sure that that's hidden. A lot of staff will hide all the columns at the beginning of semester so they don't get caught. The other things you can do that's useful in columns is I can go manage column organisation. And one thing that's useful is you can move the column and change their order. So that's quite useful. So I've done that. And I'll press submit. The other thing you can do to make mark entry easier is hide all the columns that are not useful. So I could go through, for example, and, maybe, hide from instructor. So the only column that I have viewable is the one I'm entering marks into, hide from instructor. So the students will still be able to see the column, it's just you won't. And it's a good way to make sure you don't make any data entry issues. So we've only got the columns we need. You want to enter the marks. It's pretty straightforward. It's out of 7. You just press the number, type in a number and press enter. And as you can see, it's showing the little percentage, and that's a good way of just checking we haven't. I can put in 3.5 if I want. Haven't made any mistakes. And just press enter. So that's something to know. If I want to get those columns back, I can click on manage column and choose column organisation again. And I can select all these columns and choose show selected columns and submit. If you've got any questions about that, please type it in the chat for Hong. I realise we're running out of time, so we will keep going. I've nearly sort of finished. Oh, smart views. The other thing I'll just show you, how we made smart views for the project groups? If I go manage smart views, all the groups will show here, including allocate groups. Now, because it's a training group thing that the allocate groups are not showing, but I might just show you with the project groups. If you make them favourites, right, and click OK, they will now show, here. And for example, if they were tutorial groups, I could click on one of the groups and it would show me only the students in that group. So there's only my preview user in that group. So that's quite useful. And I can always go back to full grade center as well. That makes entering marks just for your tutor group easier as well. Yeah, that's it. All right, what else is here to know just before we wrap up? Customizations, not really used, fairly relevant to tutors or evaluations, either as packages and utilities. Help goes to the general Blackboard help. And I recommend you actually use the e-learning guides, which are specific to UQ rather than the generic help on Blackboard.
Elsa, Alice has a question about the late submission and applying late penalty. So Alice, can you ask this question?
All
please?
right, yeah, I can show you. So maybe this one student was late and they need a late penalty applied. What we actually recommend there is you view mark details, for example, and oops.
Yeah, and this one is the context of the weekly task. And then if there are a lot of late penalty, is there any easy way to find down the late submission date?
Well, if it's in Turnitin or Blackboard assignment, it will actually it'll actually show that it's late in here. But this was a manual column, so it won't show. If I'm changing the mark, I recommend. Oh, sorry, I think that's the wrong one. Is that the one I did? I'll do it back. If you're changing the mark, though, I do recommend you give a reason. So, for example, if I'm going to change this mark, I can view mark details. I can edit the mark. So I might make this worth 4. Make sure you write a note. So late penalty. So you've got a record of why the mark was changed. You can also give that feedback to learners as well, the actual students. The reason for that is if I come in here, I can view mark history and I can see when the marks were entered and if any marks were changed. And I've got a record of why they were changed. It's good for an audit trail if there's any security issues. So that's there. Just to wrap up, I'm going to have to wrap up. It's 3 minutes past, so sorry about that. Just a quick wrap up. Thank you all very much for coming. I hope you found it useful. We have a number of workshops coming up, including ones for tutors. Oops, I might just use this one. We have one on Turnitin tomorrow, and I'll send you a list after this session of the other ones we've got on as well. We've got one on collaborative tools as well. So some services that we provide for staff. If you've got a technical issue with Learn.UQ or eLearning tools, you can write a job to help at eLearning.uq.edu, and it goes into a queue for our expert technical staff to answer for you. We have learning workshops. We also have self-paced workshops as well, so we'll send you some links on the information on that. We do have consultations. They're mainly aimed at course coordinators. Sometimes, though, if the lead tutor is doing a lot of work on Blackboard, we also get them as well, and they can be booked through our booking system. And we also have our e-learning guides, and these guides are specific for UQ. So we strongly recommend you use those guides rather than the generic Blackboard ones. All right, thank you all very much. I'll wrap up now. I'll get you all to put your last thoughts in the chat. So last thing I'd sort of like to know is just one of your one takeaway from this session. And is there anything we didn't cover that you'd like covered so we can improve the session in future? So one takeaway. Yeah. So I'll just give everyone a minute to do that. Oh, I can now take questions verbally for anyone who wants to stay. Does anyone have any verbal questions that they'd like to do? Elise? I'll check. If you want to unmute and ask, Elise.
Is that coming through?
Yep.
Yeah, so my question about the late submissions. So the subject I was marking for last year, the Health 1000, has thousands of students. And as a tutor, I had 100, I think, and weekly marking. So by the end of the semester, I had like 1,000 weekly things. That's why I wanted to check about the late submission, because you do your best every time you're marking, you keep the eye out for, the little highlight that it's late. But when you're doing it en masse, it's very easy to skip over one or two. And so that's why I wanted to know about running a report or trying to highlight the late submissions by not having to go into the file. By like, is there a way to make it flag it, or even just run a report for your groups?
Yeah, what tool were they submitting to?
They were submitting it onto Blackboard.
So just the Blackboard assignment tool?
No. Oh. Well, it must be. So it was a weekly thing. And so when I'm clicking in Grade Center, I can click into their little weekly response about whatever the question was for the tutorial. And I'm putting the mark there on Blackboard. So I'm going into each student's thing and seeing it. But
it's a Blackboard assignment. Not off the top of my head, can I think of an easy way to find them all?
it was a nightmare.
I'll have a little research, and if I find anything, I'll put it in the follow-up email. Hong, do you have any suggestions? Rather than, I think it's just looking for those that are late, isn't it really?
Yeah, for that, we do not have the sort so that we can find down the late submission. So currently it's still quite manually looking for each of them.
It would be handy if it has a sort, but it doesn't. Yeah, I agree. All right. And does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask? Hong or I can pass the hard ones to you, hey Hong? No? All right. Thank you all very much for coming. We'll send you a follow-up email with resources and also links to the other sessions that we're delivering that you might be interested in. And thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Elsa. Thanks, everyone.